Well, Reuters is reporting a major naval deployment to intensify Aleppo assault, NATO diplomat has stated. And the article says, coming out of Reuters, says Russian warships off the coast of Norway are carrying fighter bombers that are likely to reinforce a final assault on the besieged Syrian city of Aleppo in 2 weeks. A senior NATO diplomat said on Wednesday, citing Western intelligence. The fleet passed by the Norwegian city of Bergen on Wednesday, the diplomat said, while Russian media has said it will move through the English Channel past Gibraltar and into the Mediterranean Sea to the Syrian coast. They are deploying all of the Northern Fleet and much of the Baltic Fleet in the largest surface deployment since the end of the Cold War, diplomats said, on condition of anonymity. This is not a friendly port call. In 2 weeks, we will see the crescendo of air attacks on Aleppo as part of Russia's strategy to declare victory there, the diplomat said. Now, certainly right now, this war is directed upon the rebels that are holding the last stronghold for the rebels in Aleppo. But the bottom line is I don't believe Russia's going anywhere. I would be shocked if, in fact, this war ended and Russia pulled back all of its naval resources or whatever the case may be. I don't see that happening. I see this as a buildup that will eventually culminate in the Battle of Gog and Magog found in Ezekiel 38. Now, certainly, I doubt it's going to start out that way. Of course, right now, all Russia's intent on right now is to gain a Middle East foothold in Syria. And it has nothing to do with freeing or keeping Mr. al-Assad in power. As I stated last time in my article, this is a war that's fought, and he's pretty much irrelevant. And his makeshift army is irrelevant as well. When the spoils are done, it's probably going to be divided up between Turkey, Russia, and Iran. And I'm sure that Iraq and also Hezbollah will get a little piece of the pie as well. But I think the biggest thing that we can take away from this is that when the U.S. and the Western world had a chance to stop Russia and to put a stop to it, they froze in their tracks and they allowed this to take place. And that kind of gives you an idea when, in fact, Russia does come down or decide to try to come down upon Israel. That's pretty much what the West is going to do as well. So this is the first thing that you should be looking for, and this is very prophetic and very end times. And time to time somebody will email me and say, well, why don't you broaden out your scope on Bible prophecy and cover a few more topics? Well, the problem with that is that most of the topics that are being covered today in Bible prophecy simply aren't prophecy. And frankly, the tribulation period isn't starting until the Antichrist makes a 7-year peace accord with Israel and many. I mean, you can try and look at every other different conspiracy theory out there, but the bottom line is if it doesn't lead you back to the 7-year peace accord that Israel will sign with the Antichrist and many, or Israel and Jerusalem, then you're wasting your time. So that's why I concentrate on news that will get us straight to the tribulation period. And we know that before that takes place, the rapture must happen. So news article number 1 draws us closer to an encounter between Israel and the nations that will come against them, which is Russia, Turkey, Syria, which are all the nations right now that are in Syria, along with Iran and Iraq, and of course Hezbollah. And there are a number of other nations that are mentioned as well. But the bottom line is that many of the headliner nations are set up in Syria. So I have to believe that at some point in time in the near future, this war will take place. And it's amazing to me how many of the nations that are mentioned in the Bible are already aligned on Israel's northern border in Syria. And once this war against the rebels is squashed, where do you think all of these jihadist terrorist fighters are going? They're not going anywhere. And especially with a leadership such as Russia and Turkey and Iran at their fingertips, that's just going to give them that much more of an incentive to stick around and to see what the next step is against Israel. But one thing we have to be for sure is that, know for sure, is that the Bible does say that at some point in the last days that these nations will march against Israel. And I'm beginning to believe that at some point in time that the spoil that it's talking about in verse 9, or maybe let me correct myself, I think it's verse 11, is that I believe it will be the Golan Heights, and not so much for the oil or whatever the case may be, although there is oil in that area. But I think Russia will march against and corral an army together in order to take back the Golan Heights. I think that is what is going to be the spoil. So that's prophecy article number 1. Here's another one that is very prophetic, and we've been talking about this for several months, if not a year. And Israel National News has put out another article that further talks about the deteriorating relationship between Israel and the United States. And really, I should say, between Mr. Obama and Mr. Netanyahu. And, it's talking about the same thing and the same type of warnings that after the election will Obama betray Israel at the UN. And this is kind of just an update from what my last article that I read. In my last report on this very subject, it says Wikileaks recently exposed an email written by former White House official Stuart Eisenstadt that discussed the Obama administration's deteriorating relationship with Israel and warned that there is a distinct possibility that the administration may seek a new UN Security Council resolution embodying the two-state with pre-1967 lines and agreed land swaps and some vague statements about Jerusalem. And the article also goes on, of course, to talk about how that is Mr. Obama about ready to betray Israel. It says the signs that this is indeed the case are numerous. President Obama is laying the groundwork to rationalize and make palatable and understandable that he may take unprecedented unilateral actions against Israel. Consider. On October 5th, 2016, Obama's State Department strongly condemned Israel for approving plans to build 98 apartment units within the existing Jewish community of Shiloh in Samaria for Jews who will be forcibly evicted from their homes in Ammona. The existing Jewish community in Shiloh, which was established in 1979 and has 3,500 existing residents, the State Department falsely claimed that Israel was approving a significant new West Bank settlement and that this undermined a two-state solution and called into question Israel's commitment to achieving a negotiated peace. Next, the State Department's October 5th condemnation also stated, with regard to the UN Security Council, that and any action at the UN or our position hasn't changed. We're always concerned, frankly, about one-sided resolutions or other actions that could be taken within the UN, and we're always going to oppose those kinds of resolutions that we believe delegitimize Israel and undermine its security. But we're going to carefully consider our future engagement in when we reach that point and determine how to most effectively pursue and advance the objective that we all at least claim to share, which is that of achieving a negotiated two-state solution. Despite being prefaced with a line about the U.S. position being unchanged, the State Department's reconsideration statement, on top of the unusually harsh language of condemnation for a mere announcement of program of residential construction in existing Jewish community, is more than a hint as to the course President Obama may take. Shockingly, the same day the Obama administration questioned whether Israel is a friend, while White House spokesman Josh Earnest reiterated the State Department's unfounded criticism of Israel, wrongly stating on October 5th that we did receive public assurances from Israel that contradicted this announcement. I guess when we're talking about how good friends treat one another, that's a source of serious concern as well. Next, it says the media promptly provided further evidence of Obama's intentions to overturn long-standing U.S. policy. On the day of the administration statements, October 5th again, the same echo chamber method that Obama aide Ben Rhodes boasted of using to promote the Iran deal, namely using the media to promote the administration's agenda, was in full swing. A New York Times article that day quoted former Obama administration peace negotiator Martin Indyk saying at a certain point the administration may well decide that there needs to be consequences for what it did, or what it now sees as an effort to close off the two-state solution. And on October 6, 2016, a New York Times editorial entitled "At the Boiling Point with Israel" parroted the State Department's false accusations against Israel and called for Mr. Obama to lead the Security Council to put its authority behind a resolution to support a two-state solution. During his September 30th, 2016 speech in remembrance of Shimon Peres, Obama falsely implied that Israel is enslaving Palestinian Arabs. Obama quoted the left-wing Peres as saying, "The Jewish people weren't born to rule another people, and we are against slaves and masters." Obama also called Israelis founding flawed. Later the same day, after the White House official transcript of Obama's eulogy listed Jerusalem, Israel, as the speeches and burial's location, the White House crossed out Israel. So basically they were just saying that they're not giving Jerusalem to Israel at all, and are still trying to keep it as an international city. On September 9, 2016, Obama's State Department wrongly criticized Israel Prime Minister Netanyahu's valid and accurate explanation that the Palestinian Arab leadership's repeated demand for a state with no Jews constituted ethnic cleansing. In sum, there's good reasons to believe that the ground is being prepared for a major change in U.S. policy and major U.S. betrayal of Israel at the UN, perhaps after the November election. Obama's refusal to veto a potential UN resolution unilaterally establishing or laying out borders or other parameters for a Palestinian Arab state would sabotage any chance of Israel-Palestinian negotiations and peace. Well, I don't know that that's going to be the case, because I think that if the United States were to betray Israel in that way, I think the European Union wouldn't be too far behind, along with the rest of the international community. And frankly, the rest of the international community is already on board. They're just waiting for the big guns, such as the European Union or the United States, to come on board. And when one comes on board, the other's going to come on board as well. So this is just another sign of what must come. No, I'm not saying that the United States is in charge of the end times, but I'm saying that they're one of the big guns at this time who will help make that decision. But ultimately, this peace accord will be brought to pass by the European Union, by a leader who will come out of that bloc of nations. And I think and believe for the most part that Israel will agree to it, because I don't think it'll be the better of two bad agreements that they simply can't believe that they'll be able to stomach either one of them, but this is the better of the two. So I don't think it's going to be an ideal relationship or an ideal agreement, but I think they're going to take the agreement out of fear that something worse could come along. So we're on the verge of this possibly happening before the end of the year. I don't know, but I would have to say that we're probably looking in that direction. I would be shocked if Obama did go silent between now and the time that he's going to leave. But much will be known after the election is done and over with. And if you don't know the Lord, today is the day of salvation. Don't put it off. I believe we're edging closer and closer to what is about ready to begin, the end times, the last days in which the tribulation period will begin. But you know, there's of course something worse than the tribulation period, and that is dying and ended up in a burning hell. You know, 150,000 people are going to die today, and the vast majority of the Bible says will end up in that burning hell. Don't let that happen to you. Come to the Lord as Savior and let Him save you today. And of course, you Christians, get a copy of my Tribulation Period Survival Guide. Give it to your lost loved one. There is, of course, the free version you can download. That is written in 9 different languages, I believe, and they're free to the public. Now, of course, that has to be downloaded. If you want it printed off, you got to pay for that. And I do have an English version that is a soft cover. And if you want to purchase that is also available. Go down to the description and click the correct link in order to get a copy of that. And I would encourage you to get the paperback version and personally hand this to your lost loved one. You'll be glad that you did. Well, this is Terry Malone with the Calvary Prophecy Report.